Why is Dion so successful? Why is Dion so lucky? Well, folks, we have been
Oh.
told and we've been promised it is three simple letters: API. I don't know about you, but I have no idea what API stands for. So if this is the secret to being lucky, to being wealthy, I'm going to start taking notes, and I suggest you do as well. All righty, Dion, what do you got for Matt and I and the rest of the world?
So when I try to explain this to people, I rarely use the acronym. I actually use a different sentence, but the acronym is in my head, and this is why your favorite term, why when people call you lucky, right? It
Yeah,
wasn't
that
hard work, it wasn't preparation, it wasn't risk, it wasn't sleepless nights, it wasn't years to get where you are. It's just luck. And I think
you
I
keep
say
pushing
this
that
sentence.
button. I'm not gonna. It's not gonna be good,
Okay, you
man.
can do
Don't push that button.
it. Right. And so if just so you know, Mike, if any of your close friends have ever come up to you and goes, "Man, you're just so lucky," it's because I recently talked with them behind the scenes somewhere and I said, "Say this to Mike."
Oh yeah,
Here's a button. He's got a button.
yeah.
Um,
Jump on that button, please. No, don't do that.
because
Sorry.
what are
Go ahead.
friends
I
for?
digress.
And speaking of friends, this is I say this so often. I believe this irritates some of my close friends to the point where I think that's why I say it. And
Of course.
so if I'm ever unalived under suspicious circumstances, it was Adam, my friend Adam. We've been in we've deployed together. We were in Desert Storm together, and he doesn't watch this content, so I could say this here. So I never really talk behind someone's back, but this is something I'll say behind his back. I'm only alive because of Adam. Like he's that guy from my past. So when I talk about him, and we're close friends still, and these are the things I do say to his face. He's the one I say shouldn't own rentals, right? He should because he has the personality of a pregnant yak on methadone, so he couldn't manage a property manager or tenants. So it's just not his thing. So whenever we go to do something, and I want to compare our lives like when we were 40, so go back a little over a decade ago, right? He's single, successful, hundreds of thousands of dollars in stocks. He's a passport bro. He goes to Colombia, marries a beautiful woman. She comes here. She's a teacher. She's making more money than him. He's working towards a pension. He's just got this charmed life. The American dream is happening for him, other than he doesn't want to have kids, which is smart because he shouldn't procreate. And I, at 40, was single dad, three kids, found out about hundreds of thousands of dollars in bad debt in my name I didn't know existed until the divorce, get laid off from law enforcement because of the housing crash, the recession. And so that's our life comparable, right? But our entire lives coming up from 18 until then, and all my friends and other friends and whatever they're at in life, that's I just use him as a comparison because I'm still close to him. He hates life. He's frustrated all the time. He sees the negative in everything. He has interpersonal problems because he'll point out the negative to everyone around him. Whereas I say this sentence all the time: things just work out for me. So now imagine 40, hundreds in stocks, beautiful wife, no kids, charmed life, divorced, kids, debt, laid off. Everything just works out for me. The attitude. We go traveling somewhere, we pull into a parking lot. He'll say things, man, this parking lot's going to be really hard to get out of. Or he'll say, there's not going to be no parking spots. Park out here at the end because closer won't be anything. And I'll say, no, man, you're with me. And this is why he gets irritated. I said, things just work out for me. So I pull in, a spot opens up. Guaranteed every time, it always just does because I say that, and there's always going to be a spot. And when we pull out, there's a gap. So I pull out. And I could just see the frustration hit his face that stuff just works out for you, right? Because I say it, it seems like a thing. So if you focus on the negative, you're going to find it. If you focus on the positive, and so API, the actual acronym. So I say that sentence to everybody all the time. I did it at work. We'd be getting sued or there'd be something going on. I'd be like, don't worry, everything works out for me. It's not the company problem. This is a me problem, and everything works out for me. And everybody would be like, he just seems so calm. And I don't why everything's blowing up. Why are you this way? And well, first of all, nothing was actually blowing up in there, and can be calm then too. So API, if you can get this in the back of your mind to just think about this acronym every time you're making a decision, when you come up to a crossroads in life. Because remember, when you come to a fork in the road, take it. API means assumed positive impact. In any situation, you can find the positive. If you focus on the negative, you're going to find it. Kind of like that psychology test where you go, don't think of a blue car. You can't not think of something. So when you look for, and you're scrolling on your phone, right? Let's say any one of us is scrolling on our phone. We're probably looking for Pace Morby, Coach Carson, one of us. We're looking for educational content and motivational real estate stuff, how to do our business better, whatever it is. And you see somebody dancing, but it has a song that you liked that song 20 years ago. It has a catchy tune, and they're playing that part of the song, and so you hesitate for half a second. And you're like, no, I'm not here to watch dancing. So you scroll on, but your phone caught that half a second.
Mhm.
Out of the next 10 things that pop up in your reels or your stories is going to be dancing. And you just have to scroll until your phone goes, okay, that was a glitch. That's the way your brain works. When you watch a Crash Bro video, your brain goes, I want to see the negative. I want to know, I want to hear why stocks is gambling. I want to hear why businesses fail. I want to hear why real estate is going to have a crash, or why real estate is tenants, toilets, and termites, and why it sucks. So your brain, because it's like an emotion, it wants to grow, it wants to feed itself, it wants to procreate. But when you sit back and you go, okay, now there's probably going to be a recession. I mean, some people are going to lose their houses. I can provide them houses. There's going to be more rent demand. Like, my assumed positive impact, I'm going to help people that lost their house by having a rental for them. I'm going to benefit because rents are going to go up, because that's generally what happens in recessions. There's going to be more demand because buying a house is harder. Like, you can find the positive in anything, and it's not that keep the positive mindset and manifest that what's the secret, or the positive thoughts or whatever. It's literally the literal, what good can I focus on in this? And then it just turns into, that becomes a habit, to where when your life falls apart and you're 40 and you have 3 kids and a bunch of bad debt and you lose your job and you're like, yeah, give me 10 years. I'll never have to work again.
I love it. I love all of that. Let's relate this to something that the lumberjack and I share. We both have sales careers that go back decades. We both have run teams, built teams, and I could see in the sales reps that I had on my team, you were either a negative or a positive,
Yeah, of
right? Either everything
course.
was falling apart or everything was
Mhm.
going, right?
Mhm.
And generally speaking, I don't know, 9 times out of 10, 19 out of 20 times, the positive sales reps would win, and usually win by a mile, right? The
Yeah.
negative ones, they sometimes got to the finish line, but it was always harder. It was always a bigger discount. It was just, hard.
Yeah.
And, I think, when you talk about API, assume positive impact, I think there is a lot of that in the sales reps that I saw, make 7 figures and do that, time and time again. Is because they just went through the process and just assumed, the positive impact. It's not like they didn't lose deals. It's not like they didn't have bad reference calls. It wasn't like technology, blew up in the POC, but they just took it on stride and just kept moving forward. So what do you think?
Yes.
Matt.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I think so for me, it was I realized that there is that calm in the storm, and so many leaders, or so many people think they're leaders and they're not leaders because they're the ones shouting in the room or absolutely losing it. And
Mhm.
you're just like, dude, the only thing that you're showing everybody how to do is overreact when nothing happens. And they're just like, this is a big deal. It's not. And so literally we had gotten a letter one time from a pretty big company, like a $30 billion company. And they said, take this off your website or we're going to sue you. Like, the owner was just so scared of her own shadow. And she's like calling the attorneys and calling the CFO, and we got to get on a call. No joke, kid you not, this is what I did. I actually just called marketing and said, hey, I said, we just need to take this off the site. We just got a letter saying that they asked us to take it off. I said, so let's just take it off. I said, it's true, but let's just take it off. I said, because
Yeah.
it's the juice isn't worth the squeeze. So it's
All right.
fine and all good. So we show up to that meeting and she's absolutely frantic. And I'm just like, she's like, what are we going to do about this? And I go, well, I took it off the website.
Yeah. It
I
was a
go,
5-second decision.
read their letter. All it says is take it off, or we'll proceed. They're not proceeding with anything. They don't want to waste their time on it. And they're
No,
not going to waste their time after somebody or after something that's already been taken down. So just like, and so the funny thing for me is I learned a long time ago, It's a lot like baseball. It's a lot like football. It's a lot like hockey. Forget the last play. It doesn't matter. It has no bearing on the next play. So forget it. It doesn't matter. And so that's what makes me somebody that can gamble and walk away, because my last winning has nothing to do with my future winning. My last losing has nothing to do with my future losing or winning, has nothing to do with it. And so the most powerful thing that I learned was, is what it is what it
Yeah.
is, because people are looking for your reaction, whether you think they are or not. And so, when we do this YouTube thing and I start yelling and screaming and having fun with it, it's because in that moment on the phone with that person, that's exactly what I was doing. That's how I clear it. That's how I get through it, get past it. I said what I needed to say.
Yeah.
Now you own it and we're done here. And okay, is what it is. And so they're like, oh man, but you remember what happened yesterday? Yeah, of course. Well, are you still? No, don't care.
No.
Done,
Yeah, we
past it.
don't carry it, right? We deal with it and
Ah,
we move on. That's
think about
exactly right. Yeah.
think about carrying baggage everywhere you go. The
Oh,
more you hold on to all this stuff, this failure and that failure, and this happened to me and that happened to me. Hey man, I had a horrible childhood in many respects. Whatever. Dion
yeah.
too. Whatever.
Yeah.
That is what
Yeah.
it is.
So,
And Zub,
so
you too. Like, we all didn't have the best childhoods.
right?
And our parents tried, but they weren't very good at it, and so, but we are where we are, and we are where we are because of it, because we recognize probably really early on in life, more than anybody else, that, hey, you know what, it is what it is. It's human frailty. That's their issue. They had issues with that stuff, and so it was now an issue for me. It is what it is. Move on. Next.
Yeah.
There's a topic for a future video. If we traded childhoods, whose would you want? I wouldn't want Mike's. Of the four Avengers, I wouldn't want my after hearing it. Your
Yeah.
Zubers.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
so we got the concept of what API is. Here's the
Yeah.
practical application, and you guys gave great examples. So you were both in leadership roles, right? I was demoted to the president of the CDL school that I was at, grew it to 5 campuses.
Yes.
You had staff working for you,
Mhm.
and I had staff working for me. You said you had some sales rep where their hair was on fire and everything was falling apart, and then you had the ones that were just going to work through it. Who got the promotions? Who did you promote?
Oh, no question.
Yeah.
Yeah, you just don't want to deal with that.
Right.
Right.
Yeah, yeah,
Okay.
and even if they got to the finish line, which in my world was quota, it wasn't worth the squeeze. It was so hard. It was
Yeah.
just like, and they exhaust resources and they burn bridges and they,
My
yeah,
favorite.
go ahead.
So Mike, real quick. So because I'm sure you saw, I want to know if you saw this. That guy, usually a guy, that guy gets to his number and beats his number that quarter or that year. The first thing that they say isn't, man, that was totally awesome. The first thing they say is, yeah, but tomorrow I'm at zero. Dude.
Exactly. They're already on. Yes.
Okay. So here's where I try to get the Zuber face.
Oh no. Okay.
Take it one step further. That's why you were in the leadership role.
Yes, for sure.
Someone looked at you, the owners of the company or the upper management, and said,
Of
that's
course.
the person that doesn't freak out and have this. They see the positive in everything. So the CDL school that I was at, I don't work there anymore, and I'm not going to name them, but the owners, it's a married couple. One of them was fairly quiet and only brought up issues when it was an issue to deal with. The other one was the Q-tip hair on fire running around every time somebody says, oh, you got this on your website, or you have this trademarked wrong on the logos on 40 trailers, right? And this is the cost of relogoing these trailers. It is just everything's in the air. And the reason, as an instructor, that I get demoted to the president of the company is I have a couple of ideas. And I'm like, everything works out for me. I'm just going to present this idea. But when things would go wrong, and that person, him or her, that person is freaking out, and I just know it's going to work out. Like Matt, I'm like, yeah, it's just, what's the solution? Let's logic train this through, right? Because they're the entrepreneur running a business with all of the risks going on. So everything that comes up is on top of everything else. And I'm the person going, okay, what is this thing today that we have to solve? To where that level of trust that I get the question, why does everything work out for you? Because I've said it so many times that people just expect that it's going to. And then they move to another state. I run the company for the next 8 years without seeing them,
Mm.
except for like company parties, because they have that trust in me and that knowledge that I don't panic, don't freak out, don't need because here's something I said to managers often. If I have to manage you
Mm.
as a manager, I don't need you.
Mhm.
That's the whole point of having a manager. So if you can adopt this mindset and it becomes apparent to the people around you, The idea that things work out for you, assumed positive impact,
Hmm.
it directly correlates to promotions, to positions of authority, to people trusting you to not freak out and panic, because that's people's kind of go-to most times, to show your concern, right? This is a huge thing. We better take this seriously. No, that's not what gets you the attention, the promotion, the next responsibility. It's this is important. Let's handle it, and then we'll move on to the next thing, because something good is going to come out of this, no matter how tragic what's going on is. Like, and I don't want to say it's the sociopath level, but the joke at a CDL school is when somebody gets in an accident and loses their job, you're like, okay, well, there's two positions open now. We've got to fill two positions. Like, some person lost a job, then whatever the accident was. So no matter how far down this is a horrible thing happening, something positive is there.
Sure.
Doesn't mean make light of tragedy. It just means that if you have, what's that sentence? How you do anything is how you do everything, right?
Yep.
Manage your tenants like you have 100, or your properties like you have 100 and your tenants like you have one. You're going to put systems in place. Same thing with everything in life. If you think that there's going to be a positive impact, you just assume that something good's going to come out of this. You will be shocked at how the next year of your life changes.
Yeah,
Agreed.
I love that. I love that. And let's try to make this actionable for folks. And I want to challenge everybody. I would tell everybody right now watching this, hit pause in just a moment, pull out your phones, or if you're on your phone, pull up your IG app and just scroll through that for a little bit. If you're on Twitter, do the same thing on Twitter. If you're on YouTube, do the same thing on YouTube. And what are you looking for? The algorithm is a non-feeling thing. It is giving you exactly what you tell it you want. So I ask you, on Instagram, what is your feed like? Negative, positive. On YouTube, same thing. On X, same thing. And I can tell you just personal experience. My Instagram feed has always been positive. It's always been that way. YouTube, I had to go through a cleansing to get rid of the Crash Bros and the Doomers. But X, Twitter, that one was harder, right? That's a cesspool of crap. And I spent about 48 hours or so, maybe 72, maybe 3 days, kind of blocking and purging both accounts and also, I guess, terms or whatever these things are. And dude, now my Twitter feed's amazing.
Mm.
It's just all motivation. It's all the right people. It's not always sunshine and rainbows, but it's not everything's on fire, right? If you're letting this device control you with doom and feed your mind with doom, I have news for you. You will never win. You will never win if you are consuming doom. Matt, what say you?
Yeah, I mean, my feeds are kind of embarrassing. It's like nonstop, goofy, funny,
That's
hilarious
okay.
stuff.
It's all right.
Well, it's I mean, it's just one of those things where I realize in our house, reading and trying to better understand, you get to that point in your career where you keep on getting put in those leadership positions and you're not sure why. Like at 32, why am I leading a bunch of 50-year-olds? I don't understand this. What are they seeing in me that, and they won't answer, and they don't even know themselves a lot. It's just a
Yeah.
gravitational pull, right? They sit there and they try and quantify it. You're like, that's not actually me, but okay. Like
Yeah.
if that's who
Thank
you
you.
believe that I am, like I guess that's what's portrayed. But one of the interesting things for me was I found that the people that just can't be brought down and the ones that just have joy, just joy. It's all it is. And it's, getting I read it was something like a scientist did some sort of a formula of how many times you need to belly laugh in a day. And it was something like 9 or 11 or 13. It was some odd number like that, but it was right in that range. And so for us, and the other thing too is that I really wanted to make sure my kids weren't overly sensitive. So
Oh,
everything,
no
ev-
snowflakes in the lumberjack's house?
yeah, there's a bunch of splinters here. Will stick in you. But the whole idea was just joy and just being able to laugh at yourself, laugh at others, and recognize that it's not mean. Like don't take yourself so seriously. You're just not that special. And
Yeah.
I always tell my kids, hey, I love you. I'm all over my kids. My kids know that I love them. And my daughter, she even walked around. She goes, Daddy, I know you love me. I said, good. I'm glad you know I love you. She goes, now get me some water. And I said, and then she goes, got it. And I go, hey, that's not how we talk. And so we had a conversation about that. And she goes, I'm sorry, Daddy. Could I have some water, please? And I said,
Uh,
yes, absolutely. So I don't know. I just think that people take themselves too seriously. I think they take their problems too seriously. I really do. I think that people look at themselves and they think they think they're far too special for them to have that type of a problem. Laugh it off, learn to laugh at yourself, teach your kids how to laugh at themselves. My kids go in and the feedback that we constantly get from their teachers is everybody wants to be their friend.
yeah. Yeah.
And and it's like,
Raising good humans.
yeah, well, good people, yeah, just good people, and like laugh at yourself. And when somebody else is struggling, like when you see somebody else, I mean, I taught Sam. Sam walks into class and he goes, "Hi, my name is Sam. What's your name? Would you like to be my friend?" And so that's why now that's completely biting me in the ass because that cost me like $600 in birthday presents this summer. Yeah,
Go Sam. Run for
yeah, he's
president. Class
killing me.
president.
I'm like, listen, be less friendly. Pick your tribe.
Pick your
I
tribe.
think I think people just need to laugh. They just need to laugh at themselves. It's not the end of your life. I
Yeah.
truthfully, that's one of the things when people unalive themselves makes me so sad.
Yeah.
You
I want
you
to
had
ask Dion a
had
question real
something to
quick.
live for, you know.
How many times a day do you belly laugh, Dion? Apparently nine's the number.
When Matt said nine's the number, I said, well, what do you do for the other 23 hours? Like, I woke up this morning and I sent haikus to my kids. I'm like, I'm that guy. Joke haikus. I literally said knock knock. So they would say, who's there? And I said hike. So they would say haiku and I could send it to them. Like it took starting the day with laughter is extremely important. And it's probably why I'm single, but top 10 reasons,
Hey, that's on the list. It's on the list. Well, let's round this up because I think a lot of people need to look themselves in the mirror. I believe in extreme ownership. It's one of the things I think got me to where I am is if you give the power to someone else, it's somebody else's fault. You're already behind. Own it. I really do think a lot of people need to cleanse their feeds. You're not getting a balanced approach. It's like a cup of water and a teaspoon of oil. It's like, what are you doing to yourself? Clean up your feeds. Dion, closing thoughts and where can they find you?
So the idea with mindset is that it gives you the option to take action. If you think everything's going to be negative, it's very, very normal to turtle, to pull yourself into your shell and think, I'll wait. I won't do this now. And there have been people that are waiting for that crash for 16 years now, right? That's from Jason Hartman, 16 years of people waiting for the crash and how much they've lost. Whereas they could have thought, yeah, this is a rough time. It's hard. Every year it's to buy a rental has been a hard year and reasons why you shouldn't. And every one of those I appreciate. And so eventually this year will be one of those years you can look back and go, I'm really glad I thought something positive would happen and I took action. And you can find me right here on YouTube, Dion Talk Financial Freedom, where I do my live streams every Tuesday at 4 p.m. Pacific.
That's awesome. Matt, closing thoughts where they can find you?
So I have a friend of mine who actually constantly sends me stuff. And every single time she sends me stuff, and I literally like looked through the last 15 things that she sent me. It was all fat people. I'm fat. I don't care. So, but she sends me, and I tell her, I was like, you need to get off the fatty feed. I was like, that algorithm tells you all the time. And I said, and everything you send me is always fat related. I was like, do you have an issue?
Do I know this person? I think I know this person.
You might know this person, but they always send me this fatty feed thing. And so it's really, really funny because to me, it's like, I don't think twice about it. It's not a thing, but it's like when you have that voice becomes ever louder in your head. And at the end of the day, if it's telling you you can, you will. And if it's telling you you can't, you won't. So you've got to make sure to, and this is a biblical principle. It's be careful what you watch, be careful what you hear, be careful what you say, be careful what you see. And it's a biblical principle, and it's one of those things that will serve people very well. If you can't see the bad things and you tune out the bad things, these are all things that are going to better impact your life. And it's not saying to be tone deaf, but do you realize the level of misery? I have a friend that's in therapy, and therapy works for some people, but it doesn't work for everybody because that guy's been freaking miserable for a decade, and all he has to show for it is a bunch of bills. And I'm like, dude, change. You're not on the right path. So I would just encourage people. I think that time of self-reflection, I think that the most important thing is just find what brings you joy. And
Joy.
the rest largely will fix itself.
There you go. And where they can find you?
Lumberjack Landlord on YouTube and Instagram. And to follow after Dion, I do real estate late night, 9 p.m. on Thursday nights, because Mike Zuber is going to start streaming on Sunday mornings.
I do that. Yes, sir. Thank you guys. Appreciate you.
So yeah.